A man whose Football Morning in America column is must-read material, as it was once again today. Peter King back on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Peter?
Rich Eisen, how are you?
I am doing better for talking to you, Peter. So let's get into it here. I agree with you. The Aaron Rodgers situation is quiet, and usually when it's quiet after such a loud burst is, not just because everybody's back to their corners and digging in. Something's probably going to be afoot, if not now, the next week or so, before the June 1st calendar hits, and then mandatory mini camps may appear and then be blown off, and then this whole thing gets blown up again. I'm wondering what you're hearing about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers as you and I converse here.
Not a lot, Rich. I mean, as I wrote my column, I think that that the two sides are essentially are trying to let things simmer down. And, I mean, the Packers, obviously, with their multiple trips out to California, understand that there's a problem. Obviously, the Packers understand that the relationship is teetering right now, but they have said basically, "Hey, look, we're not trading you." I almost think that if Matt LaFleur gets on the phone with Aaron Rodgers right now, or Brian Gutekunst or Mark Murphy gets on the phone with Aaron Rodgers or with David Dunn, his agent, somebody might say something that they might regret. Not Aaron necessarily, because the team has to deal with him. So I kind of think we're in a little bit, as I wrote today, of the calm after the storm.
I still can't believe it a year later, Peter, that this is getting to the point where it is right now. As you know, Mike Holmgren said he would never have allowed it to happen with his star player ever. And I still can't believe it. Like, as I said in the previous segment, Peter, that I lost track the number of times that my wife and I have told our children, all under the age of 13, when they did something and our reaction was a certain way that they did not like, that what did you expect your consequence to happen? Like, from your action, that Gutekunst never gave Rodgers a heads up and never spoke to him afterwards about it in the immediate aftermath, or attempted to and got rebuffed? Yeah. Like, is that really what happened? Like, he just thought, I'm going to trade up to go get this guy, and then Aaron will just be the usual, if you will, good soldier. Like, did that really happen? Do you think?
I think for a long time, in Packerdom, it's one of those deals that the general manager picks the players, the coach coaches the players, and the players play. And there's not a lot of concern by the front office to say to the players, "Hey, listen, here's what we're doing and here's why we're doing this." Which, to me, and I would be very surprised if the Packers haven't already said something in their meetings with Rodgers, and that they haven't already said something like, "Okay, we're going to be more open, we're going to be more transparent with you in the future, blah, blah, blah." Because that's the easiest thing to do. And I also wouldn't be surprised if Mark Murphy will intercede at some point in the next month or so and say, "Okay, here are the things, here is the thing or things that we're going to do to change." But, Rich, you're right. For everyone who says, basically, this is the way our business is. My boss doesn't come to me, even if I'm a treasured employee. My boss doesn't come to me and said, "Hey, I just want to warn you, here's what we're going to do next. Here's the decision the company is making." And I do understand that this is really a different story, because this basically impinges or infringes on Aaron Rodgers' job. The fact that they're taking a quarterback in the first round, and I get that. But so I think that Mark Murphy is going to do something to change the landscape, or offer to do something to change the landscape. and we'll see if that's going to be enough. And I really don't think it is, but we'll see.
No, and in that regard, Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show, there was a conversation that was there already a negotiation that fell apart that wound up blowing up on draft day, and I don't ever want to get in the middle of who told Adam Schefter what and when he told him, and that was front and center in our business last week. But the only reason why it's germane is, was there a negotiation that was going on that blew up? And if so, why? I mean, if this is about Aaron getting the contractual dollars and cents on the table that would preclude them having the ability to turn to Jordan Love when they wanted to, then why would he say no to something like that? What was going on behind the scenes that led to
I don't know.
all of this?
I don't know the answer to that, other than to say that I was told by somebody who I trust would know that this is not about his contract. This is about other things.
Huh.
Now, I'm sure that there is some dissatisfaction with the contract based on everything that is involved here. But again, Rich, the only knowledge I have is before I wrote last Monday, I was told by somebody I trusted that this is about the way Rodgers is treated and the way that the organization handles him, not about his contract. So, again, I could be wrong on that. That's what I was told. And we'll see how big a factor the contract is going down the road.
Well, the only reason why I bring up the contract is because soon guaranteed money is gone, and that allows more flexibility for the team to say goodbye to him, although he still has a say in where he gets to go. I understand all that. But, again, and this is why Terry Bradshaw, in my estimation, Peter, was so off about equating, Mark Malone being drafted as a first-rounder while he was – eventually, I guess it turned out to be 4 seasons removed from his last season. And he kind of said, I didn't pay that any mind, and Aaron shouldn't pay that any mind. Is that the finances are different. And, the way that teams build championships in the NFL right now is either go the Tom Brady route or trying to win with an older quarterback who's still quite terrific, like what Green Bay's trying to do. Sure.
Can I tell you why I don't really think it's about the contract?
Please go for it.
Because okay, so Aaron Rodgers just had an MVP season, had one of the greatest seasons of his life. If Aaron Rodgers has another one of the greatest seasons of his life this year, and Jordan Love doesn't get on the field except to play some in the preseason, do you think there's any chance in the world that the Packers, after this season, would trade Aaron Rodgers or would somehow part ways with Aaron Rodgers? No. That's why and again, look, I don't know. I'm just telling you, I don't know. All I know is that I try to sort of think of what happens. And everybody who keeps saying that, well, if there's no guaranteed money after this year, the Packers can just get rid of him. The Packers are going to get rid of him if he stinks, but he's not going to stink. He's not going to stink. Now, look, if he gets hurt and Jordan Love comes in and plays great, then probably he's gone. I get that. But under the circumstances that we are faced with now, if Aaron Rodgers plays like Aaron Rodgers and plays a full 17-game season or very close to it, the Green Bay Packers are not getting rid of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But then what?
It's not sensible.
Right. So, last one for you on the subject matter then is then what does Aaron Rodgers want? I mean, is it Gutekunst's head on a pike like Ned Stark? Spoiler alert.
I don't think he wants every look. Whoa. You know what? Aaron Rodgers is too smart to want Gutekunst fired.
Right.
Because if he gets, let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's just say that the Green Bay Packers announce tomorrow that Brian Gutekunst has been fired. And, and we're doing this because we want to pave the way for Aaron Rodgers, or however they would announce it, okay? Just imagine that, okay? As I wrote in my column today, Brian Gutekunst, since taking over as general manager in his 3 years, the Packers have a better record than the New England Patriots, okay? And what would Aaron Rodgers be known for? He'd be known for running a general manager out of town who's got a record of whatever, like 34-17. You know, he doesn't want to do that. That's why look, Rich, I'm going to just tell you this. I do not have a direct pipeline to Aaron Rodgers. I'm not Pat McAfee. I'm just simply trying to read tea leaves. And when I heard that Rodgers wants Brian Gutekunst fired, maybe he does want Brian Gutekunst fired. And so I'm saying to you, absolutely unequivocally, I could be wrong. But to me, Aaron Rodgers would have his fingerprints all over the firing of a general manager who's 34-17 in his 3 years. And what sense does that make? You know, I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. Another aspect of your piece today in Football Morning in America, which you could see on Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports, NBCSports.com, was the odds that you had for a new Deshaun Watson home should he prove to emerge from what we in the NFL media refer to his situation as a viable NFL quarterback or viable citizen. And with put it all together, why do you choose 2022 as the possibility? Is there no, what are you hearing that makes you think 2021 couldn't be a spot?
I mean, all I'm hearing is that I think most people around the NFL believe that Deshaun Watson's season this year is going to be interrupted by either trials or a suspension or both. And so that's why I say, here's my best guesses for where he's going to be in 2022. Maybe he'll be somewhere in 2021. But don't you think right now, until all of his legal stuff is played out and until the NFL rules in some way, how in the world, if you're an owner of a franchise, how if you're Jeffrey Lurie right now, do you stand at a press conference and announce that you have just traded for a guy who has been accused by 21 or 22 women of sexual assault or sexual harassment, whatever the courses say, the cases exactly say. Mm-hmm. You can't do it. So, I mean, I put 2022 in there for a very simple reason, that I just think his 2021 season is a washout.
And so, the concept of the Eagles being sitting at the top of your list of odds on the next football team, you have Philadelphia 3-1. I mean, they've got all those first round picks, right? I put it straight to Howie Roseman last week, trying to keep him away from getting popped for tampering. But, the way that they've attempted, the Jalen Hurts, the way that the coach is sitting here saying there's a quarterback competition with Joe Flacco because they just got there. It's clear to me that Hurts has got a year to figure this thing out in Philadelphia, because exactly. If not, it's sitting right there on a tee for him.
Jalen Hurts has the job in his hands. If he plays great, if he is Dak Prescott this year,
right, then
I doubt the Eagles are going to go get a quarterback. And then they will have the true luxury of having a quarterback on his rookie deal for the next 2 years. Now, they can't have it for 3, because he was a second-round pick. But they can have a quarterback on a rookie deal with all of these high picks, and probably 2 years from now, the money to spend in free agency on missing pieces. they'd be in Fat City if Jalen Hurts is a really good player. But, I think it's probably more likely than not certain, but more likely than not that they'll be looking for a quarterback, at some point this year or next. So that's why I put them there. They've got all the resources to do so. But, I had them tied with Carolina because I think if they decide that they want to go get this player, they're going to be very, very aggressive in trying to do so.
Well, I think it's also wise for you, Peter, to look at the other conference because, that's where Houston would want to send him. And we also know that Watson, again, this is all assuming that he does emerge through this as a viable quarterback and citizen of the world. Washington would be, just a dynamite spot because they also didn't really go in a direction this year other than to look at 2021, right? They didn't go in.
That's why those three teams are my top three teams in this because they all look like they could need quarterbacks in 2022. And all of them, each one of them, have very aggressive front offices and or an owner. And so all of them, I think, this really could be, especially if the Deshaun Watson outcome is not as bad as everyone thinks it looks right now. If then they're going to have, it's like, I wrote about the Dolphins at the top of my column. One of the things I said about Chris Greer is how he uses leverage. He used leverage to get a great deal out of Houston for Laramie Tunsil. And he used leverage to get a really good deal out of the 49ers for the third pick in the draft. Smart teams know how to use leverage, and I'm pretty sure that Nick Caserio, who worked under Bill Belichick for 20 years, knows how to use leverage.
And this is all speculation again, Peter. And normally you and I don't live in this realm, but it is still out there, and it's stuff that I hear, and I'm sure you're hearing it too. The Dolphins still have a hankering for Deshaun Watson, and if not vice versa. Will Fuller is now on that team. And again, the fact that the Texans took a kid with their first draft choice this year, with all their holes to fill, to me puts the writing completely.
They have one pick in the top 80.
Please,
They're an
choose a quarterback.
They are an expansion team.
That's what
they have one pick in the top 80,
right.
And they pick a quarterback. And Nick Caserio says, in essence, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. This is not anything about Deshaun Watson. Please.
That's the way. That's the way. Right. And the fact that we have not heard. Okay, because you have to assume. Let's put it that way. Let's live in the realm of again assumption and speculation that Watson and his team want out of Houston immediately and want to turn the page immediately if they possibly can and do it this year. They don't want to sit around and have Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor take his job while he's sitting around in a as you said in a court proceeding, or if he is going to take a suspension from the NFL, do it right away, but with a new team where he's already with new teammates and he can already do what he usually does, which is ingratiate himself into a new community and its good works. Put it all together, that there's going to be that sort of want and desire from Watson's team. The fact that we have not heard from a lawyer who has put everything on Instagram the minute this thing became free makes me think that there might be something happening with Watson trying to settle. And that's why this is quiet. This is very, very quiet right now, especially when there's a lawyer involved who could not put more on his Instagram account to put pressure on Watson, who I think wants this thing done with right now. I'm wondering what you're hearing about all that you can share.
Rich, I hate to say it. I'm not really covering the story. I'm just not. It's, I'm not doing very much with the story.
Right.
And so I have not had nose to the ground about why is it so quiet. But what you're saying makes total sense.
That's why I'm saying it's completely speculative, Peter. And I know you don't usually.
It's speculative, but it is sensible.
So put it all together, and those are the two biggest stories that we have. Is there another one that we're missing in this offseason, that as we're hitting the schedule on Wednesday, what could be happening? Is it another quarterback situation that could come to the fore?
I think the only other thing that really interests me right now is, how will Jimmy Garoppolo play? I think he's going to start the season with the Niners and will start as the starting quarterback. And then we'll see how long he hangs on to his job. He might hang on to it for the full year. He drives them deep in the playoffs. I think the 49ers will keep him next year.
That's amazing.
But, everything right there, because I believe if they had gotten a great offer for him on draft day or draft weekend, they would have taken it. But that's the other story I think that's really interesting right now. What happens at quarterback in San Francisco?
Peter, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much, as always.
Hey, no problem, Rich. Enjoyed it.
Right
Take
back.
care.
Thanks, Peter. That's Peter King right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.